Hi world, it's 11 a.m. on the morning of the 5th of November 2016, and this is my look at America's next 3 years. I don't know the exact quote, but I believe Thomas Jefferson said something about democracy only works in relatively small populations. I've said a number of times over the years that true democracy is not based on any known political system. The only way we have true democracy is A, if we have proportional representation, and B, if we have referenda all the time. This doesn't happen anywhere in the world. There is no true democracy. With America's horoscope, I'm using the Sibley chart, 10 past 5 in the afternoon on the 4th of July 1776. It's a really interesting time right now. The Jupiter-Pluto square that's coming up at the end of November of this year is happening with Jupiter sitting on top of America's Saturn and square America's Sun, and Pluto opposite America's Sun and square America's Saturn. So the fundamental structure of the American chart, not just the Constitution and its history, but the whole of America is under major stress at this time, late November. This will continue until August of next year, but late November is the critical time. At the same time, the progressed moon in America's chart, right as we speak, right now, is coming up to oppose America's Uranus, and that's happening on the 19th of November. Jupiter square America's Sun on the 11th of November. You couldn't make it up. It's so over the top. Jupiter conjunct the progressed moon opposite America's Uranus on the 19th of November, and then the progressed moon conjunct America's ascendant on the 25th of February. I don't know when the inauguration will be, but it's somewhere around then. And just as the progressed moon hits the ascendant and a whole new start begins, so the inauguration happens. I think that's great. I think it does augur a positive energy for the next few years. Now, the horoscope of America for the next few years is actually quite healthy, but the one joker in the pack is Pluto. America's coming up to its Pluto return. Pluto orbits the sky every 248 years, and Pluto will return to its original position at the time of America's birth in 2024. America was born with Mercury opposite Pluto. When I deal with that in a client's chart, I talk about the potential when young for fear, phobia. Fear is when you know what you're scared of. Phobia is what you know you're scared but you don't know what of. And paranoia, which is a persecution complex. And it could be said that America does exhibit all of these tendencies. However, the equally strong positive opposite of this is that Mercury opposite Pluto is also strong in the charts of individuals who, after a period of time, once they grow out of adolescence, they develop a really strong interest in psychology and understand the motives that empower that deep-rooted thought pattern. And hopefully America will grow up. It's the right time for it to be happening. But for the chart to have Mercury opposite Pluto and the Sun square Saturn, it is a difficult chart. Pluto will oppose America's Mercury over the coming 2 or 3 years, so the xenophobia is likely to increase in the short term, unfortunately. However, Neptune is trining America's Sun over the coming 2 years, over the coming year at least, year and a half. So there is going to be an element of more sensitivity, compassion and empathy as far as dealing with the outside world. And America does give more to overseas aid than the rest of the world put together. Let's not forget that. America's a great country. The people are generous, warm, big-hearted. It's just that when it comes to the politics, it gets nasty. Uranus in the sky is moving into America's 5th house next year. So it's still squaring America's Mercury, hence the dichotomy and the fragmentation of opinion. But this will calm down by February, March of next year. Saturn has been sitting on America's ascendant for the last 9 months. It is just clearing it now. Yes, Saturn will oppose America's sun in some 2.5 years, but we can deal with that one another time. That's something that happens every 28 years, 29 years. Not that worried. In my opinion, from my astrological opinion, the study of America's chart shows me that by the time America's into March, April 2017, it's heading into a period of relative stability and calm again. But let's get there first. The next 3 or 4 months are very provocative, very unpredictable, and potentially very disruptive. I think that whoever wins the election, there's going to be legal challenges. I think that whatever the result of the election, we're not going to get clear-cut answers until the inauguration, and even then there's likely to be challenges. Based on what I've seen astrologically, looking at the two candidates and America's chart, I suggest that I repeat what I've said earlier, but whichever candidate wins, they won't serve a full term, which is why I think the horoscopes of the vice presidents need to be looked at deeply. So perhaps there's a case there for further study on this one. At the moment, astrologically, based on their transits, purely on their transits, my guess is that Clinton will win by 1 or 2%. But then there'll be a legal challenge. Trump's legal issues over the next year will deflect him, but then he will bounce back in 2018 and certainly 2019. Clinton will go through crises and trauma in the middle of 2018. Neither politician is that popular. It's a lesser of two evils. I only hope that the entity of America, of the United States, remember, it's not one country, it's a collection of states that choose to be united. I hope that the collective entity that is the United States of America can overcome the individual antagonism and vitriol that's outpouring at this time and rise to be the country that it aspires to be. It's got the potential, it's a great country. Here's hoping. Alright, see you later, world. Bye.